Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Raw Daddy Hour, hosted by yours truly, Raw Daddy himself, Grandma. We love you. Thank you for sticking in there and bringing grandson. Let me introduce you guys to my guests. To my immediate left, in the stripes, we have Vicky, the queen per usual. And to my far left, we have Miss Tsion, my best friend in the making. Appreciate you. And today, we are going to be talking about college degrees. Are college degrees useless? How do we feel about them? Is America doing it right? Or should we all flee? Vicky?
Should we all flee?
Should we all dip out? Vicky, I'm going to start with you. How do you feel about college degrees? Right? Do you feel like they're useful in society?
I think they are useful in society. I think a large part of it, because it also depends on like how you retain information, right? I feel like information and knowledge is one part of it, and then there's also the kind of like social aspect of going to school and college, and being legally an adult now and learning how to take care of yourself and function, problem solve, all that kind of stuff. So I think the overall college experience is very useful and valuable. I'm also, though, a person who likes to learn. I'm also kind of a nerd, so, but I'd say in my experiences with myself, being able to meet people from all over, that was one of the places where I met people from like, China or, like international students and stuff like that I don't think I would have necessarily just randomly come across. So just learning other people, and yeah, I think it's valuable.
Nice. Tsion, how do you feel about them?
I get your point. I don't think college degree is that important in this day and age, especially right now. Meeting people, yeah. I met most of my friends from college. Like my best friend, my guy best friend, like it was a group of us, like, and it was international group. Like it's people from around the world. But like you can meet people from around the world any day, anywhere. I don't think it's necessary. It has to be in college. College, especially in the U.S., it is horrible. You come out with debt. You're like mentally just abused. I mean, I just...
Ooh, abuse.
I didn't mean to laugh at that. I'm sorry.
No, we're not laughing at that.
We're not laughing at the abuse part.
No.
But it's like in Ethiopia, like let's take, for example, if you want to go to university when you get out of college, when you get out of high school, you can go, like if you have the, your point, like if your GPA is good, you go straight to university and it's free. You go to 4-year university, you get your degree and you're out. It's free. And that's like a small country in Africa. But then again, you come here where the education is very important and vital, but then again, you're coming out of college and university with a debt that you're going to pay for the next 10 years. So
10?
I don't know.
It's a little longer than that.
That's one part that I can agree on. I think a big issue is that the way that the U.S. does college is ridiculously, it's like, I think I don't want to say we're the highest, because I don't have knowledge of all university across the world, but I know we're definitely in the top for how much university costs here. Or other countries, other places it costs nothing, like she was saying. Like I think Germany, Denmark, I think you don't pay for your degree. So I think it's just the way that it's done here is what gives people a bad taste in their mouth.
I am often viewed as anti-college, and I stand by that. I'm pretty anti-college unless you need to go. I feel like college is more of a need-to-go type of thing. If you're entering in a career where you need to get the skills that could be acquired through going to college, then I'm for you going to college. But I'm also with you on the social piece. I personally don't have any of my friends from college. Like on like a really close friend level, like I don't have any friends that I made from college still to this day that are my close friends. We still talk, like I still have some friends that I talk to and some friends that I like converse with. We catch up, do that kind of thing. But as far as like close friends, I didn't make any of my close friends in college. And I went for 3 years. And I knew the moment that I got there that I wasn't supposed to be there. That this is not for me. I'm not learning the things that I need to learn. This isn't the style in which that I learn. That's the other part too. Like a lot of college is like auditory learning, and I'm a kinesthetic learner, so that didn't work for me, sitting in a lecture hall with 10, 100 million people and trying to do clickers and take note. Like that didn't work for me. The debt piece that I'm probably gonna be paying on for who knows how long. And at the end of the day, a lot of people come out of college with degrees that don't translate into the amount of money to pay that debt off. So you're doing all this studying and work to get a degree that doesn't even afford you. Like I could understand if it cost and then we were getting degrees where we could pay that stuff off in like a 5-year span, 10-year span, but we're not even getting degrees where we can pay this stuff off in a reasonable amount of time. That's where the issue comes from me, because the social benefits to me don't outweigh the debt. If they did, then I would be like, cool, go ahead and go do 4 years and, party, have fun, meet people. But I don't feel like I don't feel like the social benefits outweigh the debt, in my opinion. So that's why for me, I'm not a big fan of college. And I'll go to you, Tsion. Did you graduate from college? Why not?
I did not. The story behind it is long. I was going to graduate. My whole family is like, my dad is a professor and my mom's like a math teacher, so like going to school is very important, and I was a firstborn, so when I said I wasn't going, I dropped out.
Firstborn. I understand.
Yeah, I'm the firstborn too. Are you
I'm
firstborn?
middle child, but I understand the firstborn plight.
The firstborn
plight.
African child. I had 3 choices. Okay, I'm either gonna be an engineer, a doctor, or a lawyer. There's no between. There's no like nothing. So my dad is an engineer already, so I was going to school for engineering, and I dropped out. And they were like, every year, every day, it's like, so when are you going back? So when are you going back
they'll
again?
ask you until you're...
So, I mean, I love what you're doing right now. You're finally doing what you love. So, but school, like, you can do that on the side, right?
Your parents are like,
Till this day, it's like, they tell my friends, they're like, just push her to go back to school.
Yes.
And I'm just like...
I hate when they do that.
Not happening at this point. Like, at all. There's no school happening for me. But, like, it's... As an African, if you're in the U.S., you have to go to school. You have to graduate from college. Like you have no other choice. So, coming from the family I came from, like my younger sister graduated, my younger brother graduated. Like, I'm so proud of you. My dad shows me the pictures every day. The only thing missing is yours. My dad, my mom, like their college graduate pictures, and then there's me, just missing
Modeling.
them. I'm like.
Career-wise, how has your experience been not having a degree?
Honestly speaking, I feel like career-wise, I get jobs through networking. I haven't gotten a job where I applied and waited for an interview till this day, and I'm 29. It's always been through networking. I meet people, and then, like I talk, and then they say, oh, I feel like, you can reach out to me if you need any job, and then I would, and I've worked in corporate world for the past 3 years. I hate it, but I think it's all about networking. Right now, you don't have to have a degree. It's all about who you know, the people that you can, talk to. Like if you can talk yourself into places, you can.
Vicky, how was your college experience? I know you graduated, so let's talk a little bit about yours.
Which college experience? So my first degree was at Ohio State. I did graduate, and I can talk about, so there's Ohio State, then I went to law school, then I went back to school. I went to FIT in New York and got another bachelor's. And I'd say when I was at Ohio State's a really big school. There's a lot of international community. So for me, one of the most valuable things that I think I got out of college, my minor was dance. So it gave me the opportunity to get like really into dance. And for me, I don't think I would have gotten that level of immersion is the word I want to say, in dance had I not been at a university. You have so many classes, dance classes to choose from. There's a dance community. Meeting other people through dance who maybe didn't even go to that school but were in the city, you know. So for me, that was very valuable. Another thing that was valuable is I started taking like African American studies classes. And there was a lot of stuff like I just know like my culture. I'm Nigerian, and you know the stuff that our parents tells us and the stuff about Nigeria, but I didn't really fully grasp things as far as like in the U.S. and African American history. So that was very valuable to me. And then going forward to my fashion degree, I feel like I probably wouldn't have gotten the types of opportunities or the knowledge within the fashion industry had I not gone. Like I could have found a way in and like networked my way into an internship or something without going to school, but like FIT is known for their resources. They have top, professors. A lot of designers went to FIT, so you just have all of this stuff, So it had been much harder for me to get the same access to those things had I not gone to FIT. So for me, it's kind of like a totality of things when I think about degrees. And the accessibility that you have to things. The problem is debt. Like I'll probably be paying debt till I'm 95.
Right.
So I've already accepted that. So I have like
deferment was good.
No, seriously, there's been a deferment for the past, But so for me, it's like I don't necessarily think it's like a must. Like you have to go because. And I also think that it depends on where you choose to go and what you choose to study has a big impact on how your experience will be. Because if you're studying something you're not passionate about, or you're just not at the right university, maybe you should have gone to a HBCU if you're at a predominantly white university. Maybe that's not where you're comfortable. Maybe you should, so there's a lot of different factors that I think goes into it, and finding the right place for you, the right things to study, or even if you're not sure what you want to study, a place that will allow you to experiment and explore other areas of study, even if it means studying abroad. But I just think the overall experience and the different knowledge, whether it be from social experiences or from just different classes that you never thought of taking, I think it's a valuable experience that can help. I don't think it hurts unless you're knee deep in debt, if you didn't have scholarships or something like that. But like my first degree, I was on scholarship, so I don't have any debt from my first degree.
I was going to ask about Ohio State.
Yeah, I don't have any debt. It's all literally like 90% is from law school.
Oh, law school. Okay.
Yeah, 90% is from law school. So.
Okay, because I know those specialty schools like fashion school. I remember I looked at the Art Institute one time.
Yeah, some of them can be.
I saw that bill, surprise, shawty. I was like, no, I'm good. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm going to just, get on YouTube real quick, learn a little shimmy. But one thing that you hit on that I do agree with is the resources, the connections, and hearing both of your stories, two different ways of connecting, right? And one of my biggest things with college and university or whatever is the fit aspect. I don't think that we do a good job of helping people go where they should go, right? Like you have a ton of, like, I'll use my little brother as an example. University, college type of environment wasn't for him. Trade school was a better route for him. Luckily, there was people around him that could see like, okay, this is a better route for you. This is a place that we feel you'll be successful and will tap into your potential. Me going to West Virginia University, as much as I loved the fact that I had the opportunity to swim, a huge school it didn't work for me. Like I could not learn. And I'll give a very good example. Accounting. I took an accounting class. I'm a big math guy. Numbers, that's my thing, right? I failed this class twice. I transferred schools my junior year to a smaller school in West Virginia. It was like super intimate. The classrooms felt like high school classrooms. They were so small. And I aced accounting because I was able to get the more like one-on-one attention. I was able to ask questions. My professor was an accountant, a practicing accountant. So he was like having us go through, like the drills and such. So the fit factor is a big thing. And I don't think counselors in schools do a good enough job of, and I don't like blame them because I know it's like one counselor, like 40 kids, but
right.
I don't think our system, I'll say the system, doesn't do a good enough job of placing people in positions to be successful. We just kind of Oh, you can get a partial scholarship here. Let's just throw you there. And it's like, okay, but maybe the smaller scholarship to go to the better fitting school will breed success for them. Like you said, not every school even has the major you want. And me personally, if I had been if I had been steered in the direction to be what I wanted to be since I was 11 years old, which was an entrepreneur, I knew I wanted to work for myself since I owned a car wash when I was little. But everything was no, go to school, I was pushed the engineering route, go get a business degree, and I feel like that's one of the worst degrees you can get, bro.
I feel like it's useless.
Business is...
Because a lot of your professors are not practicing business owners. So you're just learning theory. I remember, and that was the moment I knew I wasn't going back to school. I went to school in 3 different states to try to appease people who wanted me to get a degree. Every time I would move with a job that was allowing me, because I was networking the way you were, I was moving up in my job, I would still try to go to school. I was staying up half the night doing online classes, doing all these different things. And I had this business course, and we did a project. It was like research a company, something like that. And as I'm doing this project, I'm like, bro, this is not going to help me learn how to file a LLC or how to, do taxes on the back end of a business. This isn't teaching me like how to network in my field. This is just me looking up what Adidas did to become Adidas. That cool. Like now I know who Adi Dassler is, but that's not going to help me, And so I was just like, I'm not trying to learn theory. I don't want to learn or memorize terms to ace a test, and that's another piece that we're about to hit on. Memorize terms to ace a test that I'm going to forget the next day because I really just tried to memorize it for this exam. Yeah. And then when I finished the class, I didn't feel any closer to being an entrepreneur. I didn't feel any stronger of an entrepreneur. Where I did feel stronger in being an entrepreneur was when I was promoted into management roles. When I had to own a business pretty much. When I worked for a lifetime and they were like, listen, you're in charge of payroll, hiring, firing, your budgets, hitting a goal, staying on top of expenses, pulling up COGS, so your cost of goods sold, like pulling up all that stuff. So now it's like, oh, snap. I'm actually doing these things. And that goes back to learning style. I'm not an auditory learner. You can't just speak at me and I'm going to learn this stuff. I have to do it. I'm a doer. If I'm not working through something, I'm 9 times out of 10 not going to retain the knowledge, right? So I think that's one thing that we can kind of hit on is learning styles. So Vicky, what would you say is your learning style? Like if you had to kind of pinpoint, because I know we've talked about this before, but what would you say is your learning style? And did your 3 different universities or your 3 different college experiences, were they able to cater to that?
So it's interesting because I know that like when I'm visual, because I can pick up a lot of stuff just by seeing it or like actually like doing it. But like I remember being in like elementary or middle school, and if I was having trouble with a class, and how kids can be like, oh, I'm just not smart, but my parents would always say there's no such thing as that. Like there's no I'm smart, I'm done. It's did you study and retain the information? And if you're not getting it this way, then try it this way.
That's pretty dope of them.
So for me, it was about certain subjects I would have to like go back home and read my notes every day. So by the time a test came, I already knew. I didn't have to study that much. I already knew everything because I would always read my notes every day. But like other people didn't have to do that. So I think it helped because my parents were both in education. My mom was a college professor. I would say I never thought of myself as like I can't learn this or do this. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I would find a way to kind of figure it out. Regardless of what the teacher is doing, because then you know how strict African parents can be. Oh, does it have 2 heads? Or it was never the teacher's fault. Did you study? Did you do what you need to do? So I always found a way to do it. But in terms of my, I feel like the higher I got in like my education, the easier it was. Oddly enough. Like,
that makes sense though. I feel like bachelor's degrees, like the way that they're situated and the amount of workload that you have and the amount of things that you do that are not in the interest of your degree, it's a little harder to retain all that info by the time you get your bachelor's, I feel like.
Yeah. Like I would say I would perform very well on tests, and like there are certain, like my last degree at FIT, I used to joke like I don't remember studying. I would just listen and lecture and go take the test and get a 4.0. But I think I had been through so much school, I probably was doing things that I had already mastered before that made it easier when it came time for test time. But I would say that I retained a good amount. I retained more from whatever I was more passionate about learning. I noticed that. If I didn't really care, I would memorize and do what I need to do for the test, but I wouldn't really retain that much.
Did you feel like school, and specifically, I want to speak specifically to your bachelor's degree experience. Do you feel like school prepared you for real life, or it prepared you for more school? Because one thing that I hear from a lot of people who are finishing up a bachelor's or even finishing up a master's sometime, and like I'll just ask them like, okay, so like what's next? Like, what are you doing next? And I can vividly remember one of my friends like almost breaking down because like that question was so daunting, because it was like I'm so used to like study this, study that, take a test, like study this, study that, take a test. And she was like, I think I'm going to go back to school. I think I'm going to do another degree. And I hear people, flex, I got 7 degrees, fam.
Yeah.
Why?
That's a real thing where
Yeah.
people get afraid to like venture out into like, the work life, and school is safe. So it's like, let me stay in school, let me get another degree. Or they may not feel confident that they're ready and think that they need more experience elsewhere. So they're looking for another degree. But as far as myself, it definitely did not prepare me for corporate world, because that's what I went into after. It did not prepare me like for especially like the politics within the corporate world. Like, that I'm like, wait, what is going on? Like, wait, what? I can't talk to HR about this because somebody, like there's different things that happen within like the corporate world that you wouldn't be prepared for that. Or just how things work, making sure you document stuff and, per my last email,
That's CYA.
like that kind of stuff. You had to learn the hard way once you got to work. So I don't think it prepared me for that, but I also don't feel like it prepared me for more school necessarily. It's just that initially I thought I was going to be a lawyer,
Yeah,
so,
I remember that.
And then I was like, nope.
It's a long, grueling.
Don't want to do that anymore. So I don't know. I think for me, it developed my critical thinking skills and my ability to have intelligent conversations with people, because, well, the way that I am, I like to learn. So I like to kind of like, let me take this. That sounds interesting class. Oh, let me take this. So it kind of gets me bits and pieces of knowledge all over the place to be able to have a somewhat, intellectual conversation with somebody, or see a different perspective, or that ability to be open-minded and hear something, another point of view, I think is very valuable. And I don't know if I'd necessarily be having those types of conversations or be learning about those types of things if I hadn't gone. Like, why would I be talking about the Greek god of such and such if, with a friend? I probably wouldn't be. So I think, but again, that's like coming from someone who's a little nerdy. I like that kind of stuff.
Hey.
I like learning random stuff, so I don't know.
No, I love it. Tsion, when was the moment you realized that you no longer wanted to be in school? And how did you feel making that decision? Because you come from a little bit of a unique situation where you got the big pressure, right? You're the oldest. I know they probably were looking like, oh yeah, she's almost done. We're going to be able to brag, like, how the parents
bragging
get.
rights.
How was that for you navigating, I would say, that first like 6 months after making your decision to leave school?
So it's not even after I left school that I didn't want to go. Like, I left school and then I always thought I was going to go back. Like, I was like, I'm going to go back and finish. Even if it's not engineering, I'm going to do, something. I was just, I always knew I was going to go back until I started modeling.
So we tainted you.
Don't take credit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I started modeling, And then I, like, that happiness that I felt, that passion that was there, I was like,
Ooh, yeah. You're like, nah,
yeah,
I'm not going back to
no,
school.
I'm not going back to school. And I always wanted to be like, and like, I want to own my own business. I always wanted to do that anyway. So like, I've always worked on it. So when that happened, when I started modeling and that actually made me happy, I was like, okay, we're going to find a way to do this in a way where like I can do what makes me happy full time and it pays my bill at the same time. So I didn't tell them until too late. I was like, Dad, I'm not going back to school. Like, it's not happening. Like, you need to stop asking me. At this point, I was like, you should just give up. He was like, I'm like, no, Daddy. Nope, I don't know anymore.
So have they come around? Like, are they more supportive now than before?
Yeah, I mean, they support whatever I do. So my parents, the thing that they ask me whenever I do something, or even relationship wise, is like, are you happy? Like, especially my dad. You happy? Yeah. Okay. But like the school thing, like, even though that he knows that I'm happy with modeling and doing this, like being in the fashion industry, it's like it just doesn't sit well with them. Like, they have a daughter overseas that hasn't graduated, when like I put my little sister through college. So he's like, it makes no sense for you to pay for everything and then for you not to go. I'm like, I just don't see it anymore.
I feel like we talked about this before, about the about our parents' generation, like the pedestal that they put college on, and I think it was kind of fed to them as like this
way out.
Yeah, like
it's
this,
the way out
Yeah,
of
this key, this
it's
ticket.
the key. But that's changed over the years because
It
of
changed fast too.
So
Like, it was like a
fast.
small period of time when
It
degrees were like,
Yeah.
and it was like, nope.
Yeah, like, especially I feel like the past 5 years, like, college is not necessary. Like, people don't need to go to college to do anything. Like, the internet gives you access to everything, that you can do anything that you want to do with life. So unless you want to be a doctor or lawyer, or things that you need education, you don't really need to go to college.
Or there's a way to get that education
Exactly,
in another way.
Or I think outside of people who have to go for their specific careers, one thing I did want to touch on is understanding yourself. So one of the things that you touched on was needing the structure and needing the access to the different little classes you could take to have the critical thinking, and it fed something for you. If it's feeding something for you and you feel like you're one of those people that need structure, similar to people who join the military, right? It's a good living. It's a structure. They don't have to think about, okay, what am I going to do today? They're going to give you a job. They're going to give you this. You have to work, of course, like that's
Right.
anything, but it provides a structure. I feel like I'm just one of those people who's like almost anti-structure. I just don't like to be told what to do. And one of the things I used to grind my gears about school was telling me in what order I could learn things.
Oh, like the syllabus?
Oh my, not the syllabus. In what order you could take classes.
Oh, I see what you mean.
That used to make me so upset, because I'm like, I need economics now, like, because I'm trying to do something over here, like I'm trying to learn economics. They're like, no, you got to take accounting 1, 2, 3.
Yep, you got to take the
economics,
prereqs.
and then, like, bro, no, I'm
Take
not
the
trying to
prereqs
do all
first.
that, bro. Like, I need this class. Like,
Prereqs
this
did
is the
suck.
one I'm interested in. Like, let
Yeah.
me take it. Like, I got you.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't let you do that, and that was one of the biggest indicators where I was like, nah, I can't do this anymore. But if you are one of those people that needs structure, needs like I guess you could look at a degree as like an overall goal that has steps, even though they're not the best steps. We've identified that, but there are steps to get to that goal. If you're one of those people, then I do think college is for you. And in that other piece we spoke on, going to the best fit. One of the things I think we are able to do now, having this experience, is to advise others on kind of how they can navigate that realm if it's something they want to do. I'll use myself as an example. I went to West Virginia University to swim, right? I was not on scholarship. I walked on, meaning I was paying $35,000 a year for school, right? And that was racking up, right? All because I had this notion in my mind that I had to go swim at a Division I school. Like, that was just in my head. I'm like, when I thought of college, I think of Stomp the Yard and like all this stuff. So I'm like, big school, big teams, all this stuff. You got to go there. Not even thinking like, this is $35K a year, fam. And you're not going to be able to pay, and it's going to rack up, and it's going to gain interest in all these things. When it came time for my little brother to go to school, he was a better swimmer than me, but we were able to find him a school where he could get a scholarship, smaller, less debt, better fit for him and the learning style that he had. So yeah, it made sense for him to go to school because he wasn't coming back home. Even if he dropped out, he wasn't coming back home with 40 years worth of debt. So I think that's something that our generation can do, because like we talked about in another episode, we were like the first generation to really get forced the college pill. We were fed that pill like no other, bro. We were trained our whole lives to take the ACT and the SAT and fill out your college applications, and your counselor's like, have you applied? We can get you a voucher to pay the application fee. And we were that generation. But now I feel like we have the ability to help the younger generation, because I also don't believe that everyone is meant to not go to college. I think there's a flip side to that coin. I don't think everyone
not everybody's
is
meant to be a business owner, and not everybody's meant to, some people are meant to go to college and have that structure and, like you said, and have that degree to do whatever it is that they want to do.
We can't all be business owners. There has to be employees for some of these businesses, you know what I mean? And that also is another form of structure that you provide for people, like benefits and all of that.
And it comes down to guidance too, like getting because I think of when you mentioned that you had this, picture in your head of you need to be at a D1 school. I think about the way that I chose the colleges that I would apply to. It was like trivial stuff, like, oh, I like that basketball team, I'll apply there.
Yes, mascot, colors.
Oh, that's a cool stuff. Yeah, I see them on TV all the time. I'll apply there. It was so, because you're young. You're just picking stuff. You're not really sometimes you're really looking at, the schools that I did pick were ones that were good, pre-law programs or something that would prepare me for law school or whatever. But for the most part, it was kind of trivial. Or oh, my sister applied there, so I'll apply there too. So it's that's literally how I was picking, So it comes down to guidance, or even you being able to help your brother. Now, my parents forced me to go to Ohio State because it was a scholarship, but I was trying to pay loans and go somewhere else because I wanted to go out of state. But
I was big on out of state too.
I wanted to go out of state. But and now looking back, I'm like, oh, thank you, Lord, I didn't do that. Thank God I just went and didn't have to pay for that, because then but you don't see that when you're young. So I think it's just adequate guidance for those who feel like they need to go, is making sure they're going for the right reasons, that they're going to get the right, I guess you can say, experience or opportunities out of wherever it is that they're going to be, so that they can, usurp as much as they need to from that experience. So it's, we got to pass down what we've learned in our trial and error, so that people either make a good decision or don't make the same mistakes,
I think too, and also just helping these young people to understand that there are a lot of options for second education, for higher learning, right?
Yes,
So to speak.
yes.
There are so many
We don't do
different
enough of that.
options. It's not just Michigan State, Ohio State, University of Michigan, UH. It's not just that. Those are not the only forms of higher education that we have. And one thing that was super eye-opening for me was when I was working at Lifetime Novi. This was in Michigan. And we had a lot of Indian members. And I would talk to them all the time when I was lifeguarding, because it was just like a chill environment, and they would talk to me. And they knew the cost to get a master's degree at so many different universities, like universities I would never think to go to, like a DeVry or like a what's the other one? There's a bunch of different ones like that, and they would be like, yeah, so it would cost you like $40K to get your whole master's degree if you were to go to DeVry, and they would break it down for me, and that's what they would do, because at the end of the day, when I got into corporate America, I was like, you just need the paper. Half the time they don't even care where it came from. I've gotten jobs where you needed a degree and I don't have a degree. All they care about is, can you do the work? Are you able to do this stuff? And when I finally realized, I'm like, bro, why did I care about a mascot?
You literally don't, you get to corporate world, you get trained to do the things that you're doing, which is okay, so I didn't need that paper to get trained for this job that I'm doing right now that I don't have a degree for. So it's and you get there and you're just it's all about networking, especially in the corporate world. If it's not, it's usually just about networking that gets you that to the top.
That's one thing they don't teach you in college
Exactly.
for sure, is networking.
No. Yeah.
You're like, wait a second. So when you get in the real world, you're like, oh, I gotta know people.
Yep.
I just apply and put the degree in.
Just apply.
I got a degree, and they were like, come on, sir.
come on this way, you got it.
Like, wait a minute.
I remember I was telling a friend of mine, while he was in college, like it was his last year of college, and I was like, bro, you need to start networking now. You should secure your job now already,
Yeah,
because
no,
when you
seriously.
get out of there and you're in the real world, it's gonna be much harder for you to get there. So like that's how he actually got a job while he was still in college, because I'm like, you need to network, you need to know people, you need to start doing this and that, because paper is not going to do it, especially these days. It's like paper, it's just the paper.
Yeah,
And the crazy
it
thing
really
too,
is.
in corporate America, you get trained differently from company to company. They love to bring in people who do not have prior knowledge of a system, right? Because they're like, nope, we're going to bring you in. When I got trained to be a manager at Life, and this was like a month-long watching modules, learning our system thing. Like it had nothing to do with a degree. You know what I mean? And I get it. Yes, a degree proves that you can stick to something and complete it and, see it all the way through. But at the same time, like I feel like the way it's sold is like, this is all the info you need. Once you get this info and you take all these classes and you got it, you're good.
Right, yeah.
When
It's
that's not the
sold as-
case,
yeah, it's
because
not.
the world is very much who you know and how you can navigate people. Can you learn people and how to talk to people, manipulation has a negative connotation, but manipulate situations to work in your favor and kind of just like manipulate your surroundings to work for you. Are you able to do that? And if you don't walk out of college with that, I'm sorry, but the degree's not going to do much for you. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I've seen people skyrocket through my company with nothing but a mouthpiece and the ability to learn things quickly. Of course, you have to know the systems, learn things quickly, and just talk. Like you said, talk their way into a job, talk their way into a room, and really make people believe, like, I got it. And if you don't leave with that, I don't care where you go, whether it's trade school, regular university, PWI, HBCU, wherever, the military, wherever, if you don't walk out with that ability to navigate human beings and understand like what makes someone want to hire you, then you're screwed. And that's as a business owner too, because we're still hired. Our business is hired by other people. You're still hired and fired based on the jobs that you get or based on selling a product. That is a consumer hiring your business. So unless you can navigate that and understand like how people work, you're wasting your time no matter what it is that you're doing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it has to be coupled with other things to help you really get the job afterwards. Yeah.
So one way I want to end it off, Tsion, I'll start with you first. Just some advice that you could give the younger generation, not just on like navigating school and stuff, but navigating the best avenue to learn more and get into whatever career field it is that they want to get into.
I feel like the most important part of that is knowing what you want to do with life first. Like, I mean, when I went to college first, I just went to engineering school just because my dad was an engineer and I was interested. So it wasn't because that was something that I wanted to do. Most of the time, if you talk to people that went to college, usually it's not what they wanted to do. Like, it's not like whatever they got a degree on is not actually what they want to do in life. So I feel like knowing what you want to do in life and actually going off of that, if that whatever it is that you're doing in life requires degree, then you can go get that degree from a place that you can afford, so that you don't have to pay for that debt for the rest of your life. Sorry.
I feel like you're talking to me.
So
Yeah.
like that's I that's what I told my assistant. And like when we were working in corporate America, she's like, coming to work at 5, she gets off work, and then she goes to school, and then she's at school like until 8, and then gets off and she goes and gets her kid, and then on the weekend she does makeup. So I sat her down one day. I started taking her with me to photo shoots so she can do my makeup. And I was like, so what is it that you like doing in life? Like, what is it that you want to do? Like, what are you passionate about that, like, makes you happy? Because she was going to go to law school. She was like, I love doing makeup. Like, I want to own my own lash line. I want to own my own makeup line. I'm like, so you got me now as a model that you can use. You have the face. So how about you start doing that? So they're gonna blame me for this, but like she Like, she dropped out of college. Like, I helped her get her, like she got her lashes, and like we bought lashes just to see, and then she's starting her lash line and she does makeup now. And I mean, I don't know where she's gonna go with it. She might go back to school, I don't know, but like I feel like knowing what you want to do in life has a lot to do with it, like what you're passionate about and that makes you happy.
Yeah, but I think that's a godsend, like what you did for her.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, she literally, like, she has a lash line right now. We're gonna do a pop-up shop for my boutique, and she's gonna bring it there. And
that's lit.
Yeah,
you got to use what you have, and that's what I was teaching her. Like, just use your surroundings, like people you know. Like, you have me here, you have this people, like you had an IT guy that builds website, that built my website. So like, I use my resource,
right?
Like,
right.
for whatever I want to do. Like, I would meet you and I'm talking to you, and then I'm like, oh wait, I can, you know, we can work together, like we can help each other do this and that. So I do that a lot.
You know, that's amazing. Got people dropping out left and right. That's crazy. That's what's up, man. No, just playing. Vicky, what would your advice be?
My advice is do not be ashamed to take a year off, because I like, that's something that I wish I would have done. Maybe not before college, but probably after college. I wish I had just taken a year off, because that's when I was at a crossroads where I'm like, dance, law school, dance, law school. So I wish I would have just taken a year off to chill out for a second. And you're young, that's the thing. I don't know where this idea comes where like we have to be like working like immediately after school. We're like 21, you know.
Programming.
Yeah, like exactly. So it's like,
It's
you're
not
so
just that,
young.
like, you have to finish school at a certain age and then
yeah,
go to work.
and when you start, you don't even really know, you barely know yourself at what, 17, 18, and you're deciding where you're going to be for the next 4 years. So I just feel like when you're young, take the time that you need to explore new things, do different things. If you want to go abroad and live somewhere for a little while, like, take that time to experiment, because that's when you'll start learning more about yourself, and having self-awareness will let you know where you need to be, because the more self-aware you are, then the more you can be like, oh, you know what, this school would be good for me. Like, if you decided to go to school, oh yeah, this would be a good place for me, or I like the way they do their curriculum, this would be a good spot for me. Oh, you know, I don't really like that city because I've been there before, you know. So I think taking time to just assess what it is that you really want to do, try and keep the outside voices to a minimum. And then if you do want to go to school, utilize scholarships and resources, because there are a lot of like random scholarships out there that a lot of people don't take advantage of that could help pay, you know, for school, or find a way to go to school in another country. But depending on what it is that you want to do. So I think it's just take an exploration period, I think is my advice before, if you have the ability to. I know not everyone has the ability to do that, but if you do, that would be my advice.
I love that. I guess I'll speak to the ones that are like still in high school. I would say try to learn a little bit about how you learn and what environments that you need to be in order to thrive. And be real with yourself. Do you need structure? If you need structure, then let's figure out, okay, how do I best learn? What do I want to do? Or at least what am I interested in? Because I don't think you know what you want to do at like 14, so to speak. What are you interested in? Find an environment that works and try it out, right? Like you said, take advantage of the resources so that it's not you're not garnering a bunch of debt, right? Go for the scholarships. Try to go somewhere where you can, you know, feel it out. I think those first 2 years are definitely, whether it's going to be a gap year or it's like something that's low cost because you're still trying to figure things out. But figure out, you know, what environment that you need to positively cultivate you as a person. And if you can do that, then I feel like wherever your gut leads you will be fine. You're only 17, 18. Wherever your gut takes you for those 2 years, you'll be fine. Whether that's to a college, a community college, a university, a trade school, shoot, even a business seminar. If you buy an online course that you're like, yo, I want to take these 2 years to try to learn the stock market. If you want to, you know, start an LLC and go, you know, balls to the walls with a lash line or a clothing line or something, just figure out what you need to be successful. Look intrinsically and figure out, what do I need to be successful? What environments do I see myself in being most successful? Figure out what you're interested in, and then go with your gut. And I feel like you can't go wrong with that, because like you said, you're young, you can make a pivot.
Yeah, you can bounce back.
Yeah.
Be fine.
And that's going to do it for another episode of the Raw Daddy Hour. I want to thank you guys for tuning in and sticking with us for another great episode. I want to thank my guests once again for coming through. Vicky, the queen, love you. Tsion, best friend in the making. You know what it is. Yes. She's not all day, but this is 3 episodes in now. And we are out.